From a spelling mistake in the Vault of Secrets to an unused minigame, these are 72 things only OGs remember in Geometry Dash. Back in the day, having a 144Hz monitor essentially made players think you're cheating. Sounds crazy, right? I mean, at the time, most screens were capped at 60Hz, meaning they could only refresh 60 times per second, basically limiting how much frames per second you could actually see. But if you had a 144Hz monitor, it let you see smoother motion and react way faster than other players. Some players even claim to give you an unfair advantage, but in reality, those players had thicker wallets. Back in update 2.1, if you were struggling with a certain level, there was a sneaky trick you could use: screen extension. This was only available for PC players, but by stretching your screen, you could literally fly over the limits of the level. Of course, this led to a ton of issues and was quickly fixed. But someone lied to me, because when I stretched the screen, there's hidden Among Us. Everyone knows playing at 0x speed is impossible in Geometry Dash, right? Well, one player found a way to make it happen. There was a 0x speed map that let players move at literally no speed at all. Because when you hit 100%, you actually couldn't reach the finish line because the map was basically infinite. You'd technically be stuck at 99.99999% completion, but the game would round it up to 100%. Even your icon would start glitching and doing all kinds of weird things. This should be a punishment for hackers. In the beginning of the game, the ship only used one color instead of the two different shade options that we now use today. You can even see it in the game's Steam banner. Thank God RobTop changed this, because imagine grinding for a cool new ship and you can only use one color. Additionally, it was originally intended to just be called the Rocket, but everyone called it a ship, so RobTop decided to roll with it. This secret bug literally bans you from Geometry Dash. The Demon Crash bug used to be a known bug among the community, where if you had 500 stars or completed 5 demon levels, your game would just crash every time you tried to play it. Some players also began spreading rumors that your entire PC would explode. Maybe this was actually RobTop just trying to get his players to touch grass. In Geometry Dash 2.1, there are 21 main levels to choose from, but when checking the game files, there are actually 37 different slots containing main level songs. These songs are hidden from players in the editor, but using a mod, you can actually see which songs they are. They're all from the game spin-off series Geometry Dash Sub-Zero, Meltdown, and World. And there is a theory that those separate games were supposed to be a part of the main game, but RobTop later stated that creating separate games for spin-off series did make him a fair amount of money. Seems like he made the right choice. Did you know that the difficulty icons looked way different before the game's release? In the pre-release era of Geometry Dash, there used to be only 5 difficulties: easy, normal, hard, harder, and insane. These 5 difficulties were the only ones to have their old, more chill design, but after release, they were scrapped and replaced by today's famous emoji design. To be honest, I'm glad the old designs got removed, because I can literally draw them in Microsoft Paint in like 5 minutes. Back in 2014, Geometry Dash players were hyped about one of the best levels ever created: the invention of collabs. The level Collaboration by Sari was the first level that was made with groups of people, including Dorabe, Sari, and Jack. This idea let top creators team up to build levels together, combining their unique styles into something truly amazing. Not only did it create some of the most memorable levels, but it also let the community's creativity shine through. This idea is still displayed in the game to this day, with levels like Limbo and the Yandere being some of the most impressive levels to this day. And let's be honest, even though 2.2 levels are cool, the innovations made in older updates are just so much more impressive. Remember Flappy Bird? Besides Geometry Dash players remembering it as a game, there was also a trend where players created Flappy Bird-like levels, and it was everywhere, especially in 1.8. Almost every level that was shown on the search was a Flappy Bird level. These levels were essentially played using a UFO and jumping through these pipe-like obstacles, just like the actual game Flappy Bird. This literally would have mixed rage from both games into one, essentially making players throw their phones into a lake. Did you know that before the 1.6 update, you didn't actually have to worry about coins? That's right, and OG players know that feeling. However, in January 2014, the update introduced 3 secret coins hidden in each level. Collecting them didn't just boost your stats, but also helped unlock new levels and icons. But still, they can make you rage too. Stupid coins! Old players know RobTop was almost terminated because of a bribe. Back in the day, Geometry Dash had an offer where players could get a free icon just for rating the game. Sounds like a cool deal, right? Well, Google didn't think so. They saw it as RobTop bribing players to boost the game's rating, and he was literally forced to remove the feature. No free icons, no sneaky ratings, just a big nope from Google. People were traumatized because of this event. Back in the day, a popular Geometry Dash creator named Triaxis had the whole community talking. Like most GD creators, she uploaded videos of herself completing levels, earning tons of respect from from fans. But then one day, she dropped a really unsettling video where she hinted at some dark plans to hurt herself. Fans in the entire GD community were absolutely terrified, flooding her with messages and begging her to not go through with it. Eventually, the situation got fully resolved, but for a while, it left everyone feeling really uncomfortable. Did you know that there used to be a glitch that could make you go underground in Geometry Dash? In the previous update, you could use 1x1 blocks in the level editor to create a staircase that sent you below the map. When you touch these blocks, they'd cancel out any collisions and you literally end up in the ground underneath the whole entire map. Maybe this is how Meltdown got created. I bet you didn't know that there was a glitch in Geometry Dash that could completely delete all of your textures. If you got an ad while playing, there was a chance it would send you to a random website, and when you came back, the textures would just vanish. But here's where it gets even crazier. After playing through 20% of the level, a random broken screen texture would pop up. It still remains a mystery as to why this happened, but that texture probably resembles how my phone would look if I died in a level. Many players remember the frustration of beating the hardest level in 2.1 only for their progress to be completely wiped out. Back then, this bug was the worst nightmare for anyone trying to save their game. I mean, imagine completing a level only to see 0 out of 0 storage space on your account, meaning your game wasn't saved at all. It was so bad, it made people quit the game forever. RobTop should have probably bought more USBs for his cloud storage. Everyone knows about Scratch, the merchant in Geometry Dash's icon shop. He makes a lot of different faces, but if we dig into the game files, there's a hidden sprite of Scratch where he's angry. We don't know the purpose of this or why it was created in the first place, but later, RobTop decided to just rework it on the community shop merchant Popor, which gets angry when you ask him for a refund policy. I sure don't trust those robots with that look in their eyes. Geometry Dash was supposed to have a BPM button. The function of this button has been speculated to just show the BPM rate of the level song that you're playing. Some people thought it was going to be a feature for changing songs BPM as you're playing, but that's highly unlikely. This button has been apparently found in gameplay footage of Geometry Dash's pre-release version. Eternity! No, I don't mean like an infinite amount of time, but a level that was supposed to be added in version 1.8. Eternity was a song that everyone in the community was betting on being added and huge hype was spread. However, when the song preview for 1.8 came out, players were presented with icons of book, infinity, and the number 2, which meant that we were getting Theory of Everything 2 instead. But that wasn't the only song that was supposed to get added. RobTop scammed players with this song as well. In the song preview of the 2.0 update, we were shown 5 icons: a B+D, plane, a locked skull, the logo of the producer Waterflame, and a question mark. What did these even mean? While the last 2 could mean that Waterflame was working on a Geometry Dash exclusive song, or that we're getting a song Conclusion. In the end, Deadlocked was made an official level, while Conclusion wasn't even considered, so we basically got scammed. Did you know that there's a secret cube texture glitch in Geometry Dash? And when they played with the position files, they found out that if you place the cube in a very specific spot, it starts glitching and spawns this weird red textured cube. After that, map creators used this bug in their map, and this glitch can now be seen on popular levels such as Free Jumps and Level Machine Bro. It would have been so cool if we got this as an actual icon skin. Fast forward to the latest update, Geometry Dash 2.2, and with it, we also got the upgraded clickbait glitch. In most cases, players would copy the old Going Underground map, and others thought, oh, it's just the same old glitch. But if you actually entered that custom map, you'd see it was completely different. However, how they pulled this off still remains a mystery, but no worries though, it'll probably get fixed in like 100 years. Remember the days when Every Play was the go-to platform for sharing Geometry Dash progress videos? It was like a little hub for players to show off their skills and share their milestones. But then in 2018, it unfortunately got shut down, and with it, a ton of nostalgic memories disappeared forever. RIP Everyday, we will miss you. Back in the early days of Geometry Dash, old school players might remember the father of Geometry Dash hack, mGhostIH. I mean, he was the first to create hack tools for the game, sparking tons of drama within the community. Whether you love him or hate it, you can't deny that he was a controversial figure. But here's the twist. Some argue that he also contributed to the game's evolution. Not only did he influence mods and level creation, but he even helped develop Pointer Crate. In case you didn't know, Pointer Crate is a website that tracks player stats and levels, kind of like the Demon List. So while mGhostIH might have been a rule breaker to say the least, his impact on the game is still a hot topic among all fans. Speaking of hacks, OG Geometry Dash players might remember the infamous player Wargak. This guy made a name for himself by hacking some of the most famous levels at the time. He'd post videos of himself absolutely destroying demon levels, making it look ridiculously easy and leaving players totally confused. But of course, he couldn't keep the secret forever, and he eventually got exposed. Even so, Wargak's legacy lives on as one of the first big hackers in Geometry Dash history. Did you ever notice a change in Orb's animation? Well, over time, there have been many updates in Geometry Dash, and one of them was actually the change in animation of many orbs. Even the Jump Ringer orb, however you call it, it's been changed. And it looks cool, but I definitely miss the OG vibe. OG players will remember when color achievements were actually square. Completing a quest to unlock a new color for your icon gave you a square notification, and not the circles that we all know and love today. And honestly, it made sense since the color section menu is literally made of squares too. I'm not too sure why RobTop decided to change it, but it's definitely something that only true OGs will remember. However, when the 2.1 version dropped, teleporting over slopes finally got fixed. But guess what? Yeah, a new bug was discovered. Now you can actually clip through slopes. And if you place 2 slopes in the right position in the level editor and timed your jump perfectly, your icon would just pass through both of them like they didn't even exist. Geometry Dash really seems to have issues with slopes, man. Did you know that you can make the dash orb's fire effect go in the opposite direction? By placing a dash orb next to a dual portal and a ball portal, the fire trail will actually reverse its direction. But this glitch could be fixed with other game mode portals. Essentially, you could have felt like a fire-breathing dragon, except as a cube. Yeah, not that exciting. Have you ever thought that trails were just way too expensive? Well, there was actually a way to get one for free. Temporarily. In the level editor, if you placed a bunch of dual portals, you trigger this glitch where your icon would leave an infinite trail behind you. And now I don't have to go broke on orbs to scratch. Did you know that monsters used to be crazy with their mouths? Pause. In this teaser screenshot, you can see that the monster had a tongue. Now, not many people noticed this at first, but it was never added to the final game. Like, imagine dying because a monster licked your ball. Crazy, right? Geometry Dash used to have the worst parental controls in history, because if you go into the parental control option, you have the option to allow only featured maps for online levels. However, when the feature first came out, it didn't remove the search option like it was supposed to, but instead all it did was disable map packs. I can imagine this led to some interesting conversation. Before version 1.0 of Geometry Dash, portals used to look entirely different. These old designs were pretty much taken from popular Valve franchise Portal. However, these were just concept designs, and in the final game, they were added with an original design. We don't know if old portals were just meant to teleport you further into the map, but now they make you switch game modes. You've probably seen this saw decoration while playing Geometry Dash, but did you know it actually has an old unused design? The predecessor of this saw was actually hexagon shaped and had 3 size variants, big, medium, and small. It was only shown in the concept preview, and after that, it was just cancelled. And RobTop later decided to get it reworked into the normal saw. Everyone knows the most useless feature in Geometry Dash, map packs. OG players especially know this because, well, even back in the early updates, they weren't doing any better. Seriously, having a few additional map packs to play didn't give much fun to players, and nobody really cared about them. The conclusion for map packs, well, they just suck. You obviously know what jump orbs are. Well, it turns out they're not actually called jump orbs. I mean, they're called jump ring. OG players probably already knew this, along with the fact that they didn't always have the cool glow effect that we now see today. Yeah, those rings definitely had a glow up. Did you know that there was a time where we didn't even have the wave game mode? Crazy, right? The wave was introduced in update 1.9, also known as the golden update, and it completely changed the game forever. Before the wave, we didn't have those insane tryhard levels that push your skills to the absolute max. But as soon as the wave dropped, we started seeing some of the hardest, most impossible levels ever made. This update basically kicked off the tryhard era of the game. Love it or hate it, the wave was a revolutionary addition from RobTop. Back in the OG days of Geometry Dash, trails were pretty simple. You only had 2 options, the stock trail or the legendary rainbow trail. But here's the catch, to unlock the rainbow trail, you had to collect 50 diamond points, which wasn't exactly easy back then as you had to complete many levels in order to get diamonds. However, if you managed to get it though, you were basically a certified pro. Showing off that rainbow trail was the ultimate flex at the time, and a great way to let your friends know that you were leagues ahead of everybody else. You can beat any level with this 2.2 glitch. That's right, if you're tired of failing levels and feel like tossing your phone every time you lose, then here's what you need to do. Find a level that's giving you a hard time, hold down the play button, and quickly press the X button. When the menu pops up asking if you want to delete the map, hit yes, and you'll be sent into an empty level that you can clear in under 5 seconds. Boom, now you're a true Geometry Dash pro. However, that's not as crazy as a glitch that would literally ban you from playing the game. When the newest 2.2 version dropped, it came with the crash glitch. Players were super excited to jump in, but as soon as they opened up the game, boom, crash. And for those lucky enough to make it to the main menu, picking any level would just crash the game again. And at that point, it feels like RobTop is just pranking us the whole time. I bet you didn't know that you can actually finish a level twice in a single run. If you move the end trigger all the way to the end in the map maker and then start the level, you'll get launched straight into the finish screen twice. This happens because the activation for the end trigger stays in the same spot while the end itself gets moved. Now that's a double W glitch. The slow speed portal used to to have this ugly design back when it was first announced in the preview for update 1.7. It was literally just a speed portal but reversed and orange. But luckily, by the time the second preview of the update was out, RobTop fixed it into a thick backwards arrow that we all know and use today. That old design absolutely sucks. Every play used to be known as the Reddit for Unity games, and it was essentially a portal where players could upload their raw footage from any popular Unity game, including Geometry Dash. However, Unity shut down this feature in 2018, which left players kinda disappointed because at the time, most players had older phones which are known for having issues with screen recording. Rest in peace, every play. I bet you didn't know that gravity orbs weren't always a thing in the game. Before the 2.0 update, there was no way to switch your gravity with orbs. But then in August 2015, everything changed with an update that introduced this amazing mechanic. And well, I'm certain that veterans remember it to this day. Xanthic is easily one of the most respected creators in all of Geometry Dash. If you've ever played levels like Blue Zenith or Zenith, you already know the insane creativity this creator has. His work didn't just blow minds, but also inspired countless other levels too. However, back in the day, true OG players will remember when he held the most creator point. And let's be real, it was well deserved. Xanthic would spend hours perfecting tiny details most of us wouldn't even notice, and that makes him a true Geometry Dash legend. Back before version 2.2, advanced animations weren't even a thing. There were no fancy keyframes or advanced tools to make your levels pop. But old school creators remember a genius discovery, the 4-frame animation technique. They figured out how to manipulate color channels and object properties to create smooth advanced effects that pushed the game's limitations. And honestly, these animations were super impressive, especially for how simple the tools were back then. Speaking of pushing Geometry Dash's engine to the limits, there was this genius trick where creators would use black color with blending enabled to make objects completely invisible. This was possible because black color in the RGB spectrum makes that color invisible with blending on. But if you were around back in the day, you'll remember how huge this was. It led to the creation of illusion levels, trolling maps, and even custom effects that seemed impossible to make at the time. Honestly, the creativity of Geometry Dash players made it feel like their average IQ was 200. Oh wait, never mind. Have you ever been clickbaited in Geometry Dash? If you played version 2.1 back in 2017 and before, you would most likely know what I'm talking about. When you checked out custom player levels, some of them showed a ton of likes and plays, making them seem super popular. But if you refresh the page, the like count would drop dramatically, revealing the real numbers. Thanks RobTop for getting us clickbaited in Geometry Dash. If there was an award for the most annoying glitch ever, then it would definitely go to the search glitch. In the 2.1 version of Geometry Dash, you might have run into a search bug where even if you selected your desired difficulty like Demon for example, you'd only get baby level maps instead. Luckily, the bug fixed itself if you left and re-entered the search, but still. Maybe that was actually Demon baby mode. But that's not as crazy as the secretly non-applicable or NA difficulty. Back in the day, there was a bug in the daily challenges where the challenge map's difficulty would appear as NA, and this meant you couldn't actually play the game at all since the level was totally unavailable. This glitch happened if the creator's device didn't sync properly with the servers, leaving it completely unplayable. And now I'm actually curious, what did that level even look like? Did you know that RobTop removed tons of icons throughout the game's history? That's right, there used to be even more. This included a ball with a mouth, some old designs that were changed upon being added to the game, and this Among Us icon, just to name a few. Due to controversy surrounding its creator, however, the Among Us icon was cut from update 2.2, so you'll never get the chance to be sus. Most things are very noticeable when removed. However, this isn't always the case, because when the follow player button was removed from the level editor settings menu, almost nobody noticed. It literally only got 10 upvotes on Reddit. Unfortunately, the reason for this removal was never clarified, but many players think it was most likely due to camera trigger working as a complete replacement for it. But one thing that was very obvious when removed was the background trigger object. This trigger was a super easy way to change the color of the background, and there were also ground triggers to complement. But in update 2.0, these objects were permanently removed, and instead being replaced with the color trigger. Now, this had a lot of creators, including me, very confused when the update came out, until people managed to figure out that to change the background color, you can just click into the color trigger. Also, fun fact, you can still get the background trigger object by copying older levels with it and adding it as a custom preset object. However, I guarantee nobody knows about this next feature that was removed. Because did you know that back in the day, you could verify levels by beating them in practice mode? That's right, you didn't have to beat it in normal mode to verify and upload your level. The reason this feature was removed was because practice mode has a lot of bugs which could make it possible to verify a level that was impossible to complete in normal mode. And did you know that all the way back to 2014, in version 1.5, there was a glitch that would make your ship spin around? It's called the barrel roll ship glitch. Duh. Back in the day, you could trigger it by playing as the ball game mode and then switching to the ship portal. And as you flew around casually with your ship, it would suddenly start spinning out of control. And And now I'm dizzy. In update 1.6, Decrescendo was one of the most popular demons in the game, with many players attempting it ending up with smashed keyboards and phones. This level was notorious for being nearly impossible to clear at the time due to the skill cap of players. But then, a player named Encore479 discovered a glitch that let you complete it every single time. During the level, you could fall into a specific part of the map and do absolutely nothing until the end. However, this led to loads of players flexing victories that they didn't actually earn. But moving a little bit forward, when the 1.8 update came around, a crazy new glitch appeared with it. If you took a slope in the level editor, stretched it upwards, and played the level, you could actually teleport right over the obstacle without even touching controls. Imagine that showing up when you're at 99% of the level. I would be terrified. Back in the day, if you were scrolling through the comment section, you probably couldn't escape the weirdest trend ever. Tap my name. I mean, it was everywhere. And apparently, it was some attempt for players to promote their levels or profile. But whatever the reason, it was so annoying. You couldn't even see a single normal comment without tripping over a dozen of these at least. Remember the days before the demon list? OG players know exactly what I'm talking about. No hate, no drama, just pure chill. Back then, finding the hardest levels wasn't centralized. There was Pointer Crate to show tough levels, or the true OG method, watching YouTubers to discover demons. However then, the demon list arrived, and suddenly, demons started emerging everywhere, literally. Honestly, I think it's time we get an angel list to balance things out. Every player remembers the nostalgia of those classic 1.0 levels. The simple designs, the hype when a new level would drop, and the amazement over how cool it looked back then. And some of these players are even coming back to recreate these iconic styles. While some players love the nostalgic feeling of playing it, well, new ones don't seem as impressed and literally dislike it. If I was an OG player,
I would probably find their IP address.
Did you know that Geometry Dash existed 2,000 years ago? I'm just kidding, but back in the day, there was a glitch where your comment could show up as being posted over 2017 years ago. Now that's a real OG player. So apparently there was a caveman somewhere out there, sitting by the fire on his comfiest stone, grinding Geometry Dash. Now that's pretty awesome. Everyone knows about the unreleased level, Ultimate Destruction. But did you know that at one point, way before the game's release, the menu screen for the level looked entirely different? And if you look carefully, you can also see that Robtop spelled ultimate wrong. Maybe it's time he goes back to kindergarten. If you played Geometry Dash 2.1, you probably remember the useless Hall of Fame tab. This was essentially a section with random community maps that you would play for basically no reward at all. Well, in version 2.2, it got removed. However, the Hall of Fame did get a replacement. However, the save was never actually added to the game, and it instead was replaced with lists, which is basically a better version of map packs. But playing them doesn't give you any bonus rewards. But did you know that hidden deep within the game files, there is a mysterious main level that was never added? Active was supposed to be the new main level for Geometry Dash 1.4, but it got cancelled for no reason. However, some data miners were able to find pulse data for jump rings and decoration of this level. Based on that data, YouTube channel Colton was able to recreate what the level was supposed to look like. Back in 2023, Geometry Dash was removed from the Google Play Store because it hadn't been updated for over 6 years, meaning it had a much higher risk of getting hacked. Robtop himself said that Google set him a deadline to update the game, which he ignored, causing the game to be removed. However, this wasn't only the case for the Play Store, but for the App Store as well. But with the majority of the player base being Android users, this definitely made them mad, and the only hope for them was to wait until Geometry Dash 2.2 releases, which did release in late 2023. But it was definitely worth the wait because now I can spam fire in the hole. If you played Geometry Dash back in the day, you probably remember how some players would hate on levels just because they were too hard. I mean, seriously, creators trying to push the difficulty got so much backlash, especially when the impossible frame perfect level started popping up. But looking back now, those players had no idea what was coming next. Most players know about user coins and how you could collect them through custom maps, but there was a bug that let you exceed the limit. In case you didn't know, there are only supposed to be 3 user coins you can place on each map, but somehow players found a way to add even more than that. The map would only show 3 coins, but after completing the level, you'd be flooded with so many uncollected coins that they would literally spill all over the menu. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone actually managed to grab all those extra coins. I bet you didn't know about the infinite like glitch. Back in 2016, players would jump into the comments to see what everyone was talking about on a specific level, but then they discovered something quite strange. You could spam the like button infinitely. Yeah, you could literally just keep tapping that like button and watch the count go way up. But here's the sad part. Once you refresh the comments, the likes would drop back to the real number. So even though you thought you were boosting your friend's comment, turns out you were just wasting all your time. Did you know that before the game's release, Geometry Dash was going to be called something entirely different? In the process of naming the game, Robtop said that he named it just Geometry because it was built up of simple geometry shapes. However, Robtop later planned on calling it Geometry Jump, but for some reason, Apple told him he couldn't name it that, so he called it Geometry Dash instead. In my opinion, Dash sounds way better than Jump, and RobTop himself agrees. We all know RobTop loves to edge us with content when it comes to previews, and this feature is no different. In the preview of version 2.0, players were presented with a new monster that was supposed to be added called the Witch Monster, but it didn't get much screen time, only showing up in one teaser screenshot. So we don't know exactly how they would have acted, but what I can say is that they look really goofy. It would have been better if RobTop just added a cookie monster.